Jimmy's about ready to make Led Zeppelin. He's out. He's done his jamming. He's been with the Yardbirds. At this point, he's thinking he's going to call it the New Yardbirds. But it's going to be a totally different expression, a totally different approach to music in general. He was just going to use that name to give them an edge in getting out there and being heard. He was looking for a powerful vocalist. Now the long side of this story is he was looking about 3 or 4, and may have even been a 5th mentioned and near meetings and everything. But the big guy he wanted more than anybody was Terry Reid. Terry Reid, mainly because of Make It Most, another story we don't have time to get into, wasn't available. And they made it quite known that he wasn't available. But Terry wanted to do it. He just couldn't for contractual reasons. Or at least that's the story, and he's sticking to it. But he mentions that he has seen a young singer that Jimmy might be interested in, and he suggests Robert Plant. Okay, so Robert Plant and Jimmy, they connect. They find out they have the same record collection, right? They have a lot of the same musical DNA. They get along. The movie doesn't bring out that Jimmy Page still had doubts about Robert. Wasn't his first choice. They just kind of gloss over that anthology, right? But any doubts about Robert were very quickly dismissed on their first tour. All right, still to come. But he had found his vocalist. So now around the time that he was looking for Robert, right, John Paul Jones had heard, and I've covered this in my videos, and his wife Maureen said, "Get the hell out of the house. Jimmy's starting a band. Go ask him. You're in my hair. I got to get you out of here. Go earn some money." So he called Jimmy. Jimmy goes, "Oh, yeah, I hadn't thought of you." I never understood that. Why didn't Jimmy think automatic? The guy worked elbow to elbow with him. The one time that he almost started Led Zeppelin, it was John Paul Jones who was playing bass on that track with Jeff Beck when they were thinking about starting Led Zeppelin, but they didn't even want him then. He was the only bassist in the place because John Entwistle was supposed to be there. John Entwistle didn't make the recording, and so John Paul Jones got the job by default. But when he did say, "Hey, if you're making a band, I'd like to join," Jimmy didn't have a hesitation. They knew, okay, here, look, my secret weapon and Excalibur. Right? Keep in mind, Led Zeppelin is Jimmy's masterpiece. It doesn't cut the other members down, but it was his vision. Their approach to music was always his vision. Okay? He just found 3 like souls that were willing to go along with that journey, and they added their own secret special sauce and accomplished way more than Jimmy ever could have done on his own. But he's the visionary. Never forget that. So after they get together for the first time, the 4 of them get together in a small room. They say it's just a real small room. They didn't know what to play. And Jimmy said, "What about the Train Kept a-Rollin'? Do you know that?" John Paul Jones said, "No, I don't know that." Right? He goes, "Well, it's a blues thing." He goes here and he goes there. He goes, "Oh, yeah, okay. Oh, I see what you're doing." 1, 2, 3, 4, bam! By the end of that performance, they all 4 knew they had something special. None of them had experience playing with other musicians ever before. Destiny written in the stars, practically, right, folks? So Jimmy knows he's got something. He's still the boss. He's got some money saved away. Made good money as a studio musician, right? And he's going to make an album. And he's got his he has got an absolute blueprint of how he wants to go about and do this. First thing, get that band over to his home in Pangbourne, on the banks of the Thames River. And the movie shows this. What a beautiful, I look at that and I'm going, as a musician, oh God, he had them convene in the upper story of that house in the film. Big window. Oh my God, as a musician. On the Thames River with the greenery. Look at it on the film. How could anything but magic occur out of that setting? Especially when you had four geniuses, four virtuosos, four people who were about to change the world and do it on top of what the Beatles had already impossibly accomplished. Jimmy finances this. So they got to make real quick work of this. And so that's why at Pangborn, they're going through this stuff. Everything, and he's envisioning what he's going to overdub if he has to do any basic overdubs. He's got to keep that to a minimum. They got to kind of do this as live as possible and then add the sauce and stuff like that. He's pre-thinking this the whole time. And at the same time, they're also going over other material because they knew they'd be playing for longer than just the limitations and endurance of that album. See, he's thinking the whole time. He's also got connections. The film doesn't indicate that, of some upcoming gigs that they would wind up doing and touring. Is it Denmark, I believe? As the New Yardbirds, very temporarily. But it's Led Zeppelin. So that hasn't happened yet, but they got over here, and within 36 hours, now that doesn't mean they went in, and 36 hours later, they had an album. No. But 36 hours of recording time. They time that shit, folks. You know, because they charge per hour in a studio. And this was coming out, I think, a little bit with Peter Grant, but I think that it was Jimmy Page that financed the bulk of the album. And they did it in 36 hours, almost competing with the Beatles' impossible record of recording an album in less than 12 hours or 24 hours if you include the 4 tracks that were on the Please Please Me album. But now think of these 2 albums. And Please Please Me at the time was amazing. Please Please Me to this day is amazing. But it is locked in time, isn't it? It's early Beatles stuff. And they would develop their sound more by the time I really hear the Beatles fully arrived as, yep, here we are. Don't nobody complain no more with their 3rd album, you know, A Hard Day's Night, the British version. Wonderful album, masterpiece, right? But here you got this incredible album, and it's done almost as fast as that. Now you got to take a look at those 2 albums, don't you? I consider Please Please Me and 12 other songs with it's got the longest title in the world. A near masterpiece, and under the conditions of recordings and how it happened and everything, an outright masterpiece. But Led Zeppelin 1 is a masterpiece that everybody pretty much recognizes. Certainly a wide audience recognizes. There's just no freaking question. Led Zeppelin 1 hit the fans like a ton of bricks. And they did it in really quick fashion. And one of the reasons why wasn't just because of limitation of funds, but because Jimmy knew what he was doing. Jimmy immediately, John Paul Jones said in the film that he was amazed with how busy Jimmy was in the studio, that he was concerned with mic placing, room acoustics, cross-fading tricks while remixing, mixing ideas, and the backwards echo on You Shook Me.